We stood unshaken, a voice in the storm, a man of conviction, a heart reborn. He spoke the truth when the cost was high. He lived for Jesus, unafraid to die. We are Charlie Kirk, we carry the flame. We'll fight for the gospel, we'll honor his name. We are Charlie Kirk, his courage our own. Together unbroken, we'll make heaven known. A husband, a father, his family held near. A home built on scripture, on faith without fear. The world tried to silence, but his voice remains. In us it echoes, in Christ it sustains. We are Charlie Kirk, we carry the flame. We'll fight for the gospel, we'll honor his name. We are Charlie Kirk, his courage our own. Together unbroken, we'll make heaven known. The battle is raging, the darkness will fall. We rise with the spirit, we answer the call. The truth is eternal, the cross is our guide. With God as our captain, we march side by side.
Rock shows near Sheffield. Get tickets as low as 15. You might also like Charlie.
Charlie Kirk, Record Song. We rise with a giant grace into the goal. We are Charlie Kirk, we carry the flame. We'll fight for the gospel, we'll honor his name. We are Charlie Kirk, his courage our own. Together unbroken, we'll make heaven known. With God we will rise.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Menhera Monday. This is your host, Exhibit A, wishing you a very happy Menhera Monday. How we all doing? Did you like that cool countdown music? That awesome, a real banger. A metal cover of "We Are Charlie Kirk," one of the best songs of all time. I know we all love that song. You loved it? Awesome, good to hear. I guess Spora only noticed at the very end what the lyrics were, it seems. Crazy. But hello, Egospora. Hello, Bakiaro. Sounds slightly staticky. Let me replug my mic. Is that better? Should be better. Does it sound okay now? Hello, Utopia. I forgot to say hi to you. You were in there. I didn't see. Utopia. Hello. Sorry, I didn't say hi to you at first, because you did already type a message there. Perfect now? Awesome. Awesome. Good to hear. Guys, we're going to try something new today, right? We're still going to do the usual Menhera Monday. I'm still going to read out all your answers. I'm also going to do a little something extra this time, though. I'm going to try doing news, trying to report on a thing going on in the world, or a thing that has happened on the internet or something, you know, just anything. I will basically, I will do that. And just as a try, you know, to make more content. I wanna try making one, you know, a slop video, you know, where the fucking, you know how Moist Critical makes these videos where he just talks about some random thing going on. He's like, hey guys, what's up, it's Critical here. So basically I was shitting right out of my ass earlier when suddenly I got a notification and oh, Donald Trump is doing a new phone. You can buy a Donald Trump phone. So yeah, as you can expect, I ordered it from him, and I can't wait for it to arrive. I'm literally pissing and shitting right now as I wait for it. I'm just that excited. You know. Yeah. Anyway, that's everything. See ya. You know, that's gonna be what I'm gonna do. Gotta go into work soon. Ah, fuck. That sucks. Maybe you'll still be here when I do it. I don't have to read out all the answers first. I just need to make sure enough people are here before I do it. I just want there to be a decent amount of people here. So I'm leaving Unk News perfect for Baki. What? Alright, but yes. It's going to be... It's gonna be... You're gonna see. I'm gonna give it a try, just to diversify my content types. But we'll you'll see later. And Baki, you'll at least see in the VOD, if you, I mean, because you told me that you do look at the VODs. I'm pretty, I think. Marlon desperately wants to get timed out. I think he does. I think he does. Yeah. But check out the VODs. Yeah, hell yeah. It's good. I'm glad that you do, because like the thing I always hate is that people miss the content when they're not here. But since you watch the VODs, it means you don't miss anything. It means there's at least one person who sees everything, who's up to date on all of the exhibit lore. Just want to play Roblox. You probably don't know what that is. Right. Like anyone doesn't know what Roblox is. I get it. The joke is that only young people know about Roblox. Okay. Let's do Animal Crossing music. I don't know if Animal Crossing music is suitable for what the stuff we're going to be reading. But we'll see. Here we go. This content by at least 7 minutes. That's just the delay. Try to get timestamps where people's answers aren't in the chat too and DM them. That's very considerate of you. What the heck? It's very cool. Because a lot of people probably end up missing that, and can't really be bothered looking through the whole thing just for their answer. Which is fair enough. So let's read out some of these little answers. How much time do you have before you have to go to work? Let me know and maybe I can plan around that, possibly. I mean, I'll try to. It's just I want to do that segment whenever there's enough people in here. I don't know if there'll ever be enough people. My view counts tend to be lower nowadays, which is fine because I'm not vain. It's not all about the numbers. I am humble. I don't need to be showered with views. About 10 minutes? Okay, we'll see how it rolls. We'll see how it rolls. What's something you hope you never have to do? Get a divorce. Written by Ed Tato. Fair enough. I also hope I never need to get a divorce. I think that's, you know, it's a nasty thing to go through, right? And it's a fucked up thing to have to think about. That if you think the divorce rate is very high, right? You know, and that's the divorce. That's divorce. That's for people who are married, right? They've presumably been together a long time, and they've concluded this is the person I want to be with for the rest of my life, and that they still separate. It's very depressing, but that's how it goes. I think it's like 40% of marriages end in divorce, or is it the other way around? Is it 60%? It's one of those two. I think it's 40%. 60 would be way too much. But either way, that's a really, really high rate. And that's really depressing considering that, you know, we want to believe that we're going to find love in our lifetime. Then you look at the statistics, the odds are against you, right? The vast majority of relationships end. Right, the vast majority of relationships end before marriage, and even the ones that do reach marriage, a very large number of them fail. The odds are stacked against you. It's a difficult thing because you need to... It's just sad, right? People don't think about the statistics when they're in relationships because it's depressing too, and you know, to some degree, you're ignoring the logic. You're ignoring the statistics. Because otherwise you would just be sad all of the time. But I mean, the fucked up thing is that the majority of the relationships you end up in will end. It's not a pleasant thing to think about. But, yeah. It sucks, it's miserable. The odds are stacked against you. You quite literally have to... It's like... I feel like it's one of those... I feel like it's the best example of a situation where it's actually a good thing to be a little bit illogical. If you were being 100% logical, then you would be depressed in every relationship you're in, because you'd be thinking, oh, there's a 9 out of 10 chance this relationship's gonna end, and I'm gonna miss her when that happens, or miss him. That if you were being hyper-logical, that's what you would do. But no one thinks about it that way. Instead, it's a situation where you're actually better off if you're a little bit delusional. If you're like, no, there's no way this can end. This is going to be forever. Because, sure, 9 out of the 10 times it will end, but that 1 out of 10 that you get, then it'll actually work. Because if you assume it's going to fail, then it's definitely going to fail. You have to assume that it'll work for it to work. Well, not assume, because, you know, that can lead to you being complacent, but, like, you need to really believe that there's a good chance of it. So I think it's a very good example of a situation where it's almost like a good thing to be a little bit delusional, because 1 out of those 10 times you'll end up being correct, and then that mindset is what you need to make it work in that instance, even if it didn't work the other 9 times. it's a funny thing, because people have this idea in their head that it's always good to be logical, hyper-rational, know at all times what the probabilities are of every situation. But if you actually did think about the probability of a relationship failing, you would probably never get in a relationship. Because you'd be thinking, what's the point? It's probably not going to work out. But we're not supposed to think about it that way. We're supposed to ignore the statistics. We are supposed to say fuck logic, fuck what reality says, fuck what the statistics say. I'm gonna do it anyway. The odds are against me. The odds are against me and the chances are so low, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I don't give a shit what the statistics say. It's gonna work. Because I'm special. Because we are special. We're not like all those other couples that fail and end. We're special. We're the 1%. You literally have to be delusional. It's a situation where being delusional is the correct thing to do. And that's really interesting to me. I know it's maybe I'm not making sense, but like, I find it rather fascinating. And 1 out of those 10 times, you'll be right. Your delusion won't be a delusion. And then you'll get what you want. If you're one of the lucky ones, that is, because some people end up divorcing and then they never, they die alone. That's not pleasant though. But again, it's like if you assume you'll fail, you never even have a chance. You literally have to, you've got to ignore reality and just say, we're special. And I find that interesting. To 43% in the US. Yeah. No. Baki and Toy aren't gonna break up. They're special. They're special. They're the 1%. At least 40 to 43% of the population is less intelligent, so I cope by saying that's the reason. I mean, that, if it works, it works, and it's probably true. I think, well, most people are not fucking equipped for relationships. Most people are not mature in relationships. It's just how it is, so you're kind of correct. Alright, let's read the next one. What's something you hope you never have to do? Not suck cock. Written by Zana. That would be tragic. The day finally came when you would have to not suck cock. There are no cocks left to suck. You've sucked all of them. No more left. 8 billion cocks now sucked. None remaining. 8 billion. That suggests the women have cocks too, which I get, that would be tragic. Hope that never happens to you. What's something you hope you never have to do? The it's either them or me crap. Sorry for the very long text wall, but the it's either them or me shit is about controlling you. If your life isn't in danger, and they know this, but they still pull that crap, it's actually about them losing control over you and not the fact you're in actual danger. I've had so many people pull this shit, and I've told them to pound sand and I've blocked them. They do not deserve to be in your life if they say it's either them or me. Your happiness should never be dependent on what others think and what you should or shouldn't be happy for. I've been with my boyfriend for a little over 3 months now, and I've never been happier, and some people can't stand that. Guess whose problem that is? Not mine. It's theirs because they're jealous I'm not on the market anymore. You snooze on bagging a baddie. Well, more like the weird one. You lose the baddie slash weird one, and it's your fault. Written by Riku. That's true. I mean, I also don't like that. I mean, it's either them or me. Forcing people to choose, being like, no, you know, like in a relationship, like, you can't hang around with that person. It's them or me. Or you're on that PS5 all the time. It's me or the PS5. It's me or the PS5. Which one of us is more your type? Yeah, I made a fucking song about that. You know, ultimatums. They're shit. Unless it's like a, well, you know, like... Yeah, I mean, you know, like being, you know, yeah, like controlling, it's you know, well, it depends a little bit, because, you know, it's reasonable to leave someone if they're doing something actually toxic, and it's like, you need to stop doing this or else we can't be together. But there is definitely a manipulative edge to when people do that sometimes, where they're like, you know, you need to do this, or I'm not going to be with you anymore, or I'm not going to be your friend. It's a common thing with beliefs as well, is you can get ostracized from social groups for having certain kinds of beliefs, which is to some degree understandable, because, like, you know, paradox of tolerance and all that, and sometimes people just have genuinely, like, hateful beliefs, and, you know, then you don't really want to be friends with them anymore after that. But there's a different end to it, where it's like, people feel like they can't be intellectually honest with themselves. They feel like they need to believe what their friends believe, otherwise they'll lose their friends. And so it actually dictates what kinds of beliefs they end up having. And so they end up ignoring the evidence, and instead they choose their beliefs based on what will get them acceptance. And I think that's a terrible way to choose your beliefs, but it's what actually the majority of people do, I believe. Because it's, you know, such a powerful force. You know, we will literally ignore the evidence in favor of what people around us believe, because we are so afraid of being ostracized, so afraid of being shunned for questioning the thing that everyone else believes, and quite strongly, you know? Which is why I emphasize the idea that the way you should judge someone is by their reasons for believing something and not the beliefs themselves. Which is a hard ask, but I think that's the only way forward, because otherwise, you know, no one should have to choose between having their friends and believing what makes sense to them. You know, no one should have to choose between their friends and being intellectually honest. You should always be intellectually honest. You should never lie to yourself. The only reason you should form a belief is because it's logical, not because, oh, it's popular, or you'll be in trouble if you believe the wrong thing. So it's a tricky situation where there's genuinely harmful beliefs, and we don't necessarily want to encourage that, but then we do want to encourage people to actually think and not punish them for thinking freely. And I think the only solution to that is to judge them by their reasons. So you gotta sort of dig for it, find out why they believe it. If they believe what they believe just because they're hateful and they have a prejudice, then that's a good reason to stop being friends with them or even shun them. If they just genuinely think that, if, say, you know, that's just the conclusion they've come to because they've looked at the evidence and that's where it's led them, then I don't think you should punish them for that. You can certainly debate them and talk to them about it, but being like, you need to agree with me or we're not friends anymore, that's very manipulative, because then there's a very good chance that they will change their belief to keep being friends with you, and that's wrong. That's wrong of them to do. They shouldn't do that. So you're asking them to do something which is fundamentally wrong. You should never change your belief just to be friends with someone. So either they'll do the right thing, and then you can't be friends anymore, or they'll do the wrong thing in order to keep being friends with you by lying to themselves. But yeah, yeah, anyway. Oh, enjoy work, Baki. Enjoy work, enjoy. well, I don't know if you'll enjoy it, but Futanari, yeah. Alrighty, let's read the next one. I'll periodically check the view count until, if enough people are in here, I'll do the other thing. Wait, let's see. Okay. Let's see. What's something you hope you never have to do? Just like stuff, you know? Written by Utopia. What does that mean? What do you mean by that? What stuff? It's very vague. Vague posting. What's wrong, vague boy? Afraid you might say something? That's the meme. You've seen that? Okay. What's something you hope you never have to do? I've already had to do so many things I'd hoped never to deal with. I got post-traumatic stress from a decision I had to make as a teen, and going through addiction definitely brought up things that were never on my to-do list. Even in this last year, I had to move my mom to a care facility when she couldn't walk anymore, and her brain isn't doing so well, even though she always made me promise never to put her in a home. Every time she would help me, she made me promise. And then having to put down my emotional support kitty angel when he was only 15, that was really hard. Sadly, many of the things I dread are inevitable, like aging or losing loved ones. But I hope I never have to have my limbs cut off, or be eaten alive, or something horrible like that. I never want to be in jail again. I'd lose my mind out of boredom. And I never want to stray too far from my wonderful community here and on Discord. I don't ever want to let my friends down. And there's a huge list of things I do want to do. Always look towards the future, and guys, no matter what, try to live without regrets. Everyone eventually does something they wouldn't have. Don't let it define you. And don't forget to like the video, written by Toybox. Yeah, you did mention that you've done a lot of things you hope you never have to do. And yeah, it's horrible when stuff like that happens. And that must be heartbreaking, right? Moving, promising your mom so many times that you wouldn't do that, but then having to in the end because there's no other choice. You feel guilty because you made the promise, but then there's no other choice, so it's not really your fault, but it feels like it is. Because you promised. So, it's just a tough situation all around. And yeah, I've never had a pet, so I can't relate to the feeling of having to, put down an animal, but I know that must be heartbreaking, because people get very, they love their animals, get very attached to them. Sometimes you care about them even more than some of the humans in your life, because you form a really close bond. Even though they're animals, they're not human, they don't talk or whatever. I mean, they're still living beings with complex minds. They can feel love, you can bond with them. And so it's sad when bad things happen to them, because we know that they're having an experience, and we know that that they're experiencing something bad. And when they're gone, we miss them. And these are the horrible things that happen in life, and I'm quite lucky. I feel like I'm probably not going to have to deal with a lot of the things that other people have dealt with in their lives. I'm very glad for that, because some people have told me about some of the things they've been through, and like, God, like, if I had to go through that, I don't know if I'd still be here. You're so strong for still being here after all that. Because I've been pushed to what I feel like are my limits, where I've questioned if I could keep going, and yet what I went through was so much less than people I know. So I'm like, how? Like, I can't even comprehend whatever the hell my friends have been through. And, you know, I'm glad for that, and I'm in a very privileged position in life. I have good things. I have money, I have a good job, I'm in a decent part of the world. I have a good foundation. I'm probably going to live a better life than the majority of people throughout all of history. You know, history's been pretty fucking horrible for people. I'm quite glad for that. I do think about it sometimes. It could be so much worse for me. I'm probably not going to have to do so many things that I hoped I would never have to do. A lot of people do, and, you know, I think if you've been through that and you're still here, then you're strong, and it means you tried very hard. And it's something you deserve to be commended for, because it's not something people should have to deal with. But you did. You did anyway, because it was your only choice. But you're here, and you're stronger for it, you're better for it. You are who you are now because of it. At the end of the day, it led you here. It led you to this community. It led you to the circumstances in your current life that you enjoy and that you are glad for. And so you can sort of be glad for it in a sense as well. Even though it was so horrible, because you're glad to be where you are now. And so in that sense, you don't regret any of it. Even though it was horrible at the time, now that you're here, you might think, well, I'm glad that it happened even though it was horrible, because I'm glad that I'm here, and I have the people that I have now, and the circumstances that I have now. And I assume that's how you feel, based on the things that you've written here before. So happy I live in this generation. I can't imagine living 87 years ago. Yeah, same with me. Like, everyone, the thing people love to say is, oh, I was born in the wrong generation. I don't feel that way at all. I was born in the correct generation. I don't wish I was born at a different time. I would hate to have been born at a different time. I was born at exactly the right time. A big part of that is, of course, you know, how easy things are compared to the past, at least. Not easy overall, but, you know, having an illness doesn't just mean you die immediately. We have technology and medicine that can save people in those situations. You know, most children make it to adulthood without dying. You know, that's a big part of it, of why I'm glad to have been born when I was. But it's not just that. It's also culture. It's also technology. Video games. Bro, I was born at exactly the right time to watch High School of the Dead, which is an anime that I quite like. If I was born at any other period of history, I wouldn't be able to, because that wouldn't have existed yet. I was born at just the right time to enjoy otaku culture and anime and video games. Video games are a very recent invention. And anime and stuff is, well, relatively recent too. Animation's relatively recent in general. You know, I don't want to have been born in any other period of history. In other periods of history, they didn't have Neverness to Everness. They didn't have the games that I play. I know it sounds silly. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, who cares about that? I care about that. I think that those things, you know, games, anime, all of these media, all this culture that we have, it's part of what makes life awesome to me. These are the things that are great about life to me. I would hate to have been born in a time when those things didn't exist. I was born in exactly the right period. Now you might say, well, if you were born in the future, maybe that would be better because you'd have all this stuff still. You'd still be around. But you just have more. And while you might be right, you might not be. Because we don't know for sure that, you know, things are gonna stay stable. Again, I've had several people tell me that they think civilization is gonna end in our lifetime. I hope it doesn't. But if it doesn't end in our lifetime, it might end slightly after. You know? Things might fall apart very soon. So in that sense, I'm also glad to have been born when I was, because if I was born slightly later, I would have been born too late to enjoy the wonders of the modern world. So it's like I was born just in time. Born whenever all this technology is just starting to come about, so I can enjoy it, but born early enough that the technology hasn't destroyed us yet. So that's another reason why I'm glad to have been born when I was. Shout out to Harry Ballsack. Yeah, I love Harry Ballsack. What a cool guy. What's up, Boston? Welcome to the chat. What you up to? Harry Ballsack. Does Harry Ballsack have a hairy ballsack? I feel like he probably does. It'll probably end in a few years. Don't say that, man. I need to fuck more bitches first. Okay? I'm supposed to do so much more. Don't end it yet. Don't. I need to get rich off YouTube real quick so then I can travel the world and go wherever I want. So that if war comes, I can just move somewhere else and, you know, just go to wherever is safest at any given time. That's what I have to do. It's the only way. Drinking some water. Okay. Guess it's about time to read out another one. We'll end in a few years, so better speedrun life. No! I won't let it end. Okay, if things start to get serious, if things start to get bad in the world, I'll get involved. Okay, I'll step in. I'll step in, so it'll be fine. Won't let it happen. Not on my watch. The world does not have my permission to end. What's that? The world is gonna end because of nuclear war? Who decided that? Not me. Who decided that? Alright. What's something you hope you never have to do? Have a romantic relationship. I'd like to focus on my career and enjoying life in peace, because it's more relaxing and better that way. Happy face, written by Naya. Interesting. Okay. So you hope you never have to have a romantic relationship. That's the opposite of most people. Most people really want to be in one someday, if they haven't already. And even if they have, they want to someday find their special someone. But you're actually almost afraid of that because you think it would make your life worse. You know, you actively want to avoid falling in love. Kind of explains why you like audio roleplays. You know, you're sort of you don't want it in real life because of the complications, but you can at least have it in fiction, so it's going to satisfy that desire a little bit. There is a case to be made, right? There are disadvantages to being in a relationship. You know, it takes up your time, your effort. It's an extra source of stress. You have less freedoms. You know, there's just so much baggage that comes with it. It's not a purely positive thing. There are cons to being in a relationship. So in a way, it makes sense. Like, it's not inherently irrational to think to yourself, like, oh, I don't want to be in a relationship. I think being single, life is easier this way, and I can do more of the things that I actually want to do. Like, that is to some degree rational. But you do also need to, you know, be careful, because some people regret never getting in a relationship. Some people... It depends on who you are, because everyone's different. But some people can't... You know, some people, they don't get in a relationship, they'll get lonely. They'll feel like there's something missing in their life. They'll be like, oh man, I wish I had a special someone. And then they hate the idea of dying alone. And maybe that's not you. Maybe you're different. Maybe you're actually aromantic. Maybe you just don't even experience that, really, the way other people do. Everyone's brains are wired differently. So maybe, you know, you wouldn't be sad dying alone. But some people definitely would be, so it's up to you to figure out what kind of person you are. The vast majority of people will be sad if they die alone. The vast majority of people should be in relationships eventually, you know? But there's always exceptions to the rule. You know, you get people who are asexual, aromantic. But the majority of people want to find love, and the majority of people will suffer if they don't find it. So I can't tell you what's right for you. That's something you need to figure out yourself. Sounds like you already have an idea of what you want. Yeah, I can't make that call for you. You know? For some people it's a mistake, right? They think, you know, I don't want to get in a relationship because, oh, it'd be too much trouble, and then they end up feeling really lonely, and then, you know, so you gotta make sure that's not you. Make sure you're not gonna be unhappy if you do go down that road. But at the same time, for some people that is actually the best way forward. Everyone's different. I'm not sure what I want. I think, well, I have a generally good idea. I do want to someday have a relationship. But I'm almost kind of thinking of it now like it's endgame content. Like, I'll do everything else first, I feel. You know? I'll do all the cool stuff first. I'll travel the world and get rich and get super big on YouTube and all that. And then I can get a relationship, because that's an extra challenge with extra reward. It's like, it's the gift for the man who has everything. Because, you know, it's sort of like a buffer, because it adds extra difficulty when life gets too easy. Because when life gets too easy, that can be its own problem, because we always need to develop, we always need obstacles. You get stagnant if you don't have any obstacles anymore. So whenever my life is too... I feel like a relationship is something I would want to come into my life when my life is too easy. Because then it would introduce a new challenge that forces me to grow. And even if it ends, even if it causes misery, it'll help me grow. You know. But your relationships are complicated. When you grow up, you think of them as this purely positive thing. But then when you're finally in one, like, you realize, oh shit, there's so many negatives. And so, it's troublesome. It's troublesome because you get lonely. And you'll have a yearning in your heart if you don't get in a relationship, quite possibly. Then if you do, you've got to deal with all these problems, so... Which is the better option? I mean, not getting in a relationship is certainly better than being in a miserable relationship. It's better to be single than to be in a relationship that makes you unhappy. It's always better. And a lot of people do end up in unhappy relationships. There's tons of people who are in marriages that make them miserable, but they stay in it because they are just trying to make it work, and they feel like it's just not an option to leave, and they made a commitment and they're sticking to it. And then that just is miserable for them and they're unhappy. No one should put themselves in that position. It's better to be single and end up like that. So even if you end up a bit lonely, you're better off than those people. you're at least better off than those people. So it is kind of logical in a way to choose not to get in a relationship to some degree. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to accidentally give bad advice, because I don't want to be the reason that someone never finds love and they otherwise would have, and it would have made them happy. I guess I can't make that decision for you, I suppose. But you haven't asked me to anyway. Suppose I'm just thinking out loud. Okay. Hello, Toy Box. Wrapping up at work now, but here I am. Welcome. Here you are. Here you are. Watching Seven Deadly Sins at the moment? I'm not currently. I hear that the later seasons get kind of crappy with the animation. But I've seen the first season. It was cool. See, the thing was with Seven Deadly Sins is I remember back in the day when I was younger, like everyone loved Seven Deadly Sins. People talked about it like it was this really cool, addictive show. Everyone loved to binge it. Everyone just fucking loved it. Now, everyone seems to fucking hate it. Like, why has everyone suddenly changed their minds so drastically? And it's not just because of the, obviously the later seasons kind of fuck it up a little bit with the animation. But, like, people don't like the first season anymore. It's like everyone's just suddenly changed on it. A lot of it comes down to people not liking the tropes in it. But then it's like, what? Why did no one... It didn't bother anyone back in the day, but now suddenly it's bothering people. And like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, if you're put off by the tropes in it, I think that's perfectly reasonable. I just find it a little odd that everyone suddenly changed their minds. I feel like people's opinions are being influenced by other people's opinions. I think there's a bit of a hive mind mentality going on. Right? I mean, that's the only way you can explain the fact that everyone has just all together changed their minds. People are clear, like, you know, it's kind of trendy to hate on it now. So I think people are, you know, people are getting their opinions from other people to some degree. Otherwise, how else would you explain why everyone's at once has just changed their mind on it? Meliodas? More like Smeliodas. People influence people. Exhibit A when he discovers influencers. Well, that's me. I've discovered myself. I'm an influencer. Influencer! Some people hate that term. I probably would not go around calling myself an influencer. That is a little bit pompous. I'd rather just call myself a content creator. Influencer. Influencer does sound a little bit... Sounds a little bit pompous. It's like, ugh. Yeah, I don't know. Sounds... Yeah, I don't know. Sounds so TikTok. Anyway. Alright. What's something you hope you never have to do? I hope I never have to let my loved ones down again. I have before, and it hurts more than anything. Written by Bakiaro. Yeah, I probably haven't been through whatever you've been through. Probably what you've been through is worse. But I've been in that situation. And yeah, it really sucks. Like, the feeling of really caring about a person quite deeply, and yet also knowing that you're the reason why they're hurting so badly, that you're the reason for their suffering, is an awful feeling. It's terrible. I would I would say one of the worst nights of my life can be attributed to a situation of that nature. You know, you're just racked with guilt. But you know, it doesn't make you a bad person. Good people end up in situations like that. Good people end up letting their loved ones down sometimes. It just happens. You know, it doesn't mean you're evil. It just means you're human. We all let people down sometimes. But, you know, you get back up and you keep trying. You don't... What you shouldn't do is sit there and think, well, now I'm tainted, now I'm evil forever. It's not true. For one, the fact you feel bad about it is proof that you're not evil. All we can do is our best, and sometimes we fail. That doesn't make you terrible. It's a rough world out there. A rough world. Alright, next one. What's something you hope you never have to do? Break up with my boyfriend. And there's no name written. Anonymous. Yeah, that's a very... That's something a lot of people probably relate to. I mean, it's just a... Breakups are fucking painful. They're the worst. You know, when you care about someone that much, you don't want to imagine that you might one day no longer be with them. And yet it happens so much. I mean, very topical. I talked about this earlier in the same stream. About how often relationships fail. It's a horrible thing. And you know, wherever you are, I hope you don't have to experience it. Hope it doesn't have to happen. It's tragic. It's tragic that breakups are so common. That it's so common for people who love each other to not work out. It's a really painful thing that almost everyone's experienced. Let's see. What's something you hope you never have to do? Kill my loved ones, written in all caps. No name written. Bro, what? Okay, well, sure, yeah, I mean, I think we all hope we never have to do that, but that's... Why is that the first thing that sprung to mind? Kill my loved ones? Why would you need to? I guess, like, I don't know if they turn into a zombie. You probably won't have to do that. I don't know why you're hoping you never have to. It probably won't happen. Fair enough, I suppose. I also hope I don't have to do that. What's something you hope you never have to do? Okay, so I hope I never have a son or daughter or in between that turns into a murderer or a racist, homophobe asshole, written by Utopia. That's very fair. That's a valid concern, because when you're a parent and you're having a kid, you don't know how they're going to turn out, because you can raise, you know, there's a degree of control you have in raising them. But once they're out there into the world, once they're out there at school, meeting friends, meeting other things, being influenced even by stuff on the internet as well, some of it is out of your hands. You don't know what's going to happen. You know, they might, you know, like, on the extreme end of things, I've heard, like, some women say that they're afraid to have a son in case he turns out to be, like, a misogynist. Which, you know, that's on the more extreme end of it. But, you know, like, it's very normal to worry that your child will turn out to be a bad person. You know. It's one thing for your child to end up having a difficult life, and for bad things to happen to them. For a lot of people, it's worse if their child turns out to be a bad person. They're the one making other people's lives miserable. Because that's someone, you know, it's heartbreaking when someone you care about, who's your own flesh and blood, who's your everything, turns out bad, and, you know, it's hard to, you know, it's a valid fear to have because, you know, what if you can't control it? What if you can't convince them? You know, they're their own person. They could make those choices. Past a certain point, you can't really do anything. And some people, because they're so afraid of their child turning out bad, they end up being too controlling, being helicopter parents. And that creates other issues instead. It's really hard to get parenting right. Which is part of the reason why parenting is just not for everyone. You know? And why I think it should be normal to choose not to have them. Because otherwise people end up being horrible parents. You shouldn't have kids unless you're sure that you can do it right. Or a worse, Trump supporter. You already said racist. You don't need to say racist twice. Anyway. Alright. Let's see here. So, that's all the answers read out. I've read out all the answers, but I'm not going to be ending stream. I am still going to keep streaming. I'll probably play some more Battlefield Bad Company 2. Probably. It's probably a good one to go with. I have another thing to do that I want to try, but I only want to do it when there's enough people watching. So once enough people are, once there's enough viewers, I'll do the news thing that I said I would try doing. You have my answer? We did read it out. I'm sorry you missed it. Do you watch VODs at all? I know Baki does. I forget if you watch VODs. I forget if you said. I think you said you do, right? I could be misremembering. Whenever I read yours, I basically just went on a ramble about how life is difficult and how I'm glad that I haven't been through the kinds of things my friends have been through. Really love to stay, but I'm getting the EP, so I'm having to sleep. That's okay. You don't need to feel obligated. Take care of yourself. I'm glad you were able to stop by for just a little while anyway. Or, well, not even just a little while. You're here for a good amount of time anyway. But, gonna keep streaming. Yeah, once we have enough viewers, I'm gonna do the other thing that I wanted to. I'll recruit when I'm home, lol, and yeah. You know what? I've probably taken for granted how much of my, how many of my how much of my success is because of you. There's probably all sorts of times that I've had viewers and I haven't even realized it was because you brought them. So, I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, but I will keep going. But yeah, what I said earlier this stream is that I want to try doing a little, I want to try doing, like, what some people call slop content. Where, like, you talk about a world event or something. You know, like how Moist Critical and those kinds of people, like, do these videos where they just talk about things that have happened and giving their opinion on it. So that's what I was planning to do that this stream, but I want there to be enough people around whenever I do it. Especially because I want to interact a little bit with chat when I do it. So, we'll wait for now and just game, and then once there's people, I'll initiate that. Because I'm sure people will come along eventually. And even if they don't, that's also fine. I'll either do it in a different stream, or I might just do it even with, you know, I don't know. So no pressure, no need to be anxious about the view count or anything. People love the slop. Heck yeah, I'm down. It'll be cool. It'll be cool. Okay. Get out the transparent Twitch chat. Well, it's not Twitch, but the program is called transparent Twitch chat. Hello, unknown. Hey, y'all. Sorry I would have been here sooner, but I was in the shower, and I was not daydreaming about riding an emu with Peachy into the sunset. Surprised you weren't daydreaming about riding a Peachy with emu into the sunset. Let's... But yeah, no, we've read out the answers already. I'm just going to... We're gonna game. We're just gonna chill. We're just gonna chill and do whatever comes naturally to us for a little while. Can you guys see that? Oh, you can't. Good. Why is the thing not working? What? The, why is it not... The hell? It's not working. I do notice the thing didn't join this time around. That's weird. Oh, fuck. The bot that's supposed to join for it didn't join. That is weird. Hang on. Okay. I'm just gonna check something here. Because this is the program that usually lets me see chat whenever I'm in games without having to, like, look on my phone like a little freak. Okay. That's weird. Why is it not working? Okay, let me... let's see here. Um, Wonder if YouTube had an update that disables it or something somehow. That'd be weird. I would hate that. Ooh. This is not... This is so bullcrap. Why is it doing this? Man. It's a good thing there's not many of you in here right now, otherwise everyone would just be getting bored and leaving. I might try starting a new stream to see if it works. Okay, let's check my YouTube settings. Uh... Community. Fucking hate this. Why is it so difficult? They fucking changed it. Okay, here we go. Botrix is definitely in there. Alright guys, I'm going to try to restart the stream to see if I can get that to work. So Yeah, just apologize for the inconvenience. I'll restart the stream basically and hope that works. All right, thanks for being patient with me.